I was so excited to become a well-known paralegal mentor, but ALS is not my friend. Being a paralegal is who I am. It is my calling and my soul. When my ALS doctor told me to stop working and be present with your family and loved ones, my entire being was impacted. I love what I do as a paralegal. I will continue to fight and stay strong for my attorneys and clients for as long as I can. But closing my dream of being a paralegal mentor and coach is very difficult, to say the least. Before we get started today, I need to take a moment because this episode is different than any others. And honestly, it's a very important episode for me. You know, in all my years in the paralegal profession, the training, the coaching, the conversations on this podcast, I have met some truly extraordinary people. But every now and then, someone comes along who stops me in my tracks. Someone whose story isn't just inspiring, it's transforming. Today's episode is about one of those people. Her name is Tina Johnson. She's a career paralegal, a published author, a leader in the Minnesota paralegal community, and one of the most compassionate, driven professionals I've ever had the privilege of connecting with. She majored in sociology because she wanted to help people. She became a paralegal because she found her calling. And for 2 decades, she has shown up for her attorneys, her clients, and her profession with everything she has. And then, in the fall of 2024, everything changed. Tina was diagnosed with ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, bulbar onset ALS, which means that it starts with her speech, the very thing she used to mentor, present, lead, and connect with. For someone who had dreams of building a mentorship company and becoming a well-known voice in the paralegal world, that cruelty is almost impossible to put into words. Because of how ALS has progressed, Tina was unable to record this interview the way we'd normally do it. So she did something that I think reflects everything about who she is. She wrote her answers, every single response. She sat down, even with the weakness in her hands, and she put her heart on the page so that you could hear her story. And so today I will be reading her words to you. Every response is hers, every thought, every memory, every hope. That's Tina. I want you to know that behind these words is a woman who is also fiercely loved by her husband Aaron and her son Eli. If you're a colleague of Tina's, a fellow paralegal who has followed her work, or someone who simply believes that the people in this profession deserve to be seen, then this episode is for you. So let's honor Tina the way she deserves. Let's listen, let's learn, and let's make sure her voice carries forward, even now. And before we dive in, before I forget, I also want to ask something of you, the entire paralegal community. Tina has given so much to this profession. She has led leadership roles in the National Federation of Paralegal Associations and the Minnesota Paralegal Association. She has published articles, she's contributed to newsletters, she's presented, she's mentored. She has shown up again and again for paralegals she didn't even know, because that's just who she is. Now it's our turn to show up for her. Tina's friend and colleague, Nicolette Homan, has set up a GoFundMe to help with the very real financial and emotional burdens that come with an ALS diagnosis. I'll have it linked directly in the show notes for this episode. Please take a moment after you listen today to click that link and contribute whatever you can. I know times are tough, but whether it's $10 or $20, every single dollar is a message to Tina that says, we see you, we love you, and we've got you. Share it with your colleagues. Post it in your paralegal groups. Send it to your law firm administrators. The paralegal community is a tight-knit group for a reason, and right now, one of our own needs us. Again, the link is in the show notes. Please use it. My first question to Tina: can you start by sharing a bit of your paralegal career, how you got into the profession, and what you've enjoyed most about your work? From Tina: my life goals from college was to do something that helped others. I went to the Minnesota State University, Mankato, and majored in sociology and minored in psychology. I worked with developmentally disabled adults right after graduation in the 90s and loved helping the residents live independently and thrive within the community. I earned awards for the work I completed, but I knew it wasn't my calling. My mother was a career administrative assistant, and my father was in the Army and Navy and worked in the JAG legal field. During my early 20s, the show Ally McBeal and the movie Erin Brockovich were hits that I found so intriguing. Seeing the professional career woman working in the legal field enticed me. I started out by going to the local community college to obtain a 2-year degree in the legal administrative assistant program. I thrived learning all about the legal field and working in a legal office. My advisor saw my potential and assisted in teaching me everything I know today. Her belief in me and getting me involved in the Business Professionals of America, where I competed in several categories and won first place for Legal Interviewing and Writing Award at one of their conferences, it showed me that I finally found my passion. I obtained a degree because education means so much to me, and I knew I wanted to be a career paralegal. So many attorneys attempted to get me interested in going to law school, but I knew the paralegal field was for me. That whole sentiment of helping others, having a direct relationship with clients, helping them craft estate planning legacies and assisting them, and also my love of writing. I have been published over the years in several legal publications. All right, next question for Tina. You recently opened up on LinkedIn about your ALS diagnosis. For listeners who may not have seen your post, would you mind sharing whatever part of your journey that you feel comfortable talking about? From Tina. My firm, Maslon LLP, that's spelled Maslon, in Minneapolis, was one in which an attorney sought me out and asked me to join the estate planning team. Learning and growing is what I love, and joining Maslon was a dream career jump for me. At the same time, in 2024, I started a mentorship program called Expert Paralegal LLC, wherein I wanted to create a mentorship program helping paralegals find joy in their career. Starting at a new firm with a mentorship program in my head was very special. Then, within 4 months, in the fall of 2024, I started noticing oddities with slower and slurred speech from time to time. Then weakness in my left hand, which then turned into having trouble swallowing. I knew something was up, but all the urgent care and ER visits made me feel like a, quote, crazy person, making it all up. When my family doctor recommended me to see a neurologist, the first appointment available was in the fall of 2025. So from September of 2024 to late August of 2025, I finally got in to see the neurologist. He listened to my worries and symptoms and my family history of both MS and ALS and leaned towards me and said, "There is no easy way to say this, but I suspect this is ALS." My heart exploded. The worst news to hear. He followed up with, quote, "But there is a test to confirm," end quote. I had the EMG test, which involved shocking my body from head to foot and putting a needle into my muscles from head to foot to measure strength. My tongue was the hardest muscle to test. I failed most of the test, which resulted in my diagnosis of ALS on September 3rd. I had both upper and lower motor neuron disorder. I am a go-getter in writing and publishing and giving presentations and working with the Minnesota CLE, which helped me to fight through the fear of public speaking. I was and still am extremely scared and terrified as to what is coming for me, since my speech is what started this whole journey. Communication is so important. Having the bulbar onset of ALS, which is the worst, by the way, is why I put my diagnosis out there so my community knows why I can no longer do presentations. Eventually, I won't be able to move, walk, talk, eat, or breathe, which terrifies me to my core. I was so excited to become a well-known paralegal mentor, but ALS is not my friend. Being a paralegal is who I am. It is my calling and my soul. When my ALS doctor told me to stop working and be present with your family and loved ones, my entire being was impacted. I love what I do as a paralegal. I will continue to fight and stay strong for my attorneys and clients for as long as I can. But closing my dream of being a paralegal mentor and coach is very difficult, to say the least. Okay, guys, that was a tough one to read. I promise I'm going to try to keep it together for these next ones. All right, here's a question from Anne. Are there skills or strengths you've developed as a paralegal that have actually helped you navigate the diagnosis? From Tina. My strength is my empathy and compassionate self. I hired a career coach in early 2024, and through that program, it showed me that I love helping others and am compassionate about the wonderful successes I've earned in my career spanning 2 decades. I'm a very hardworking and successful paralegal, and I want all paralegals to find the success and joy that I've earned. Being valued, respected, and sought after to hold leadership roles means the world to me. In my mind, I know that I should take it one day at a time. However, finding support has been difficult. The emotional and financial challenges are so overwhelming. My strength in knowing who I am and what I stand for is helping me. But researching about ALS, clinical trials, funding, etc., makes me very weary and dreadful. All I know is to continue working hard, continuing to love what I do, and dedicating my knowledge to others about my ALS journey and my love for the legal profession means everything to me. Question for Anne. How has your firm or your colleagues supported you? Any examples that might inspire other workplaces to do the same? From Tina. My team and a colleague paralegal set up a GoFundMe to help with both the emotional and financial struggles living with my terminal diagnosis. In fact, my firm, Maslon LLP, and the Minnesota Paralegal Association created 2 awards for me, one being a Lifetime Achievement Award for 2025, and then an award that I am so honored for, titled in my name as the Tina M. Johnson Legal Service Impact Award. I was so surprised, and my symptom of uncontrollable crying crept in. My law firm also said that they want me to continue working for as long as I am able, and provided me with an ergonomic, curved keyboard for easier typing. However, my declining strength in speech, along with difficulty writing, is when I said I need to focus on my own self-care. So just a note to the listeners, she originally answered these questions shortly before. She didn't realize she was going to be leaving her firm so soon. So Tina is no longer working. All right, the next question from Anne. Your strength in sharing your diagnosis publicly is incredibly inspiring. What motivated you to speak up on LinkedIn? From Tina. I have always told myself how much I want to be a well-known paralegal who is published, respected, and honored by all of the paralegal connections in my paralegal community. Posting about my terminal disease on my social media, such as LinkedIn, was to share with others how much my life is changing. I already had several paralegals reach out for mentoring, which I had to apologetically say no to. My life goals have shifted. Being an advocate for ALS and continuing to work and make an impact in the legal field are important to me. All right, thank you. Next question from Anne. If someone listening wants to help or get involved in ALS advocacy, where would you point them? Any organizations or actions that matter most to you? From Tina. There is a plethora of support for ALS out there. My first recommendation is reaching out to the local ALS association. Once you know your type of diagnosis, the ALS Association has several support groups, both for people living with ALS and their caretakers. In fact, my hubby and I attend the Bulbar Onset virtual meetings, which my ALS team member leads, and I adore all her work as a speech therapist and her knowledge of ALS. Because I have been dealing with my symptoms since fall of 2024, I watched 2 documentaries on Prime Video, the first of which was on Steve Gleason. I cried throughout because all of his initial symptoms were like mine. So in my heart, I knew that was what I had. Team Gleason is what I admire and follow. The second documentary focused on the founder of I Am ALS, attorney Brian Wallach, who met his wife while working with the Obama administration. Brian had a constant cough and went straight in to see a neurologist who asked if he had any other odd symptoms. He had a weakness in his left hand, just as I do. Being an attorney and all of his work in setting up the I Am ALS is so inspiring to me. I wish deep down that I could find the strength and courage to fight, believing a cure will be found like Brian does. His voice deteriorates during the documentary, much like mine, but I can understand him nevertheless. The I Am ALS support groups are phenomenal, though it is ALS patients around the world. I have a very hard time attending support groups, however, because I see my future and it scares me to death. I have no control now that I know I carry the mutated ALS gene marker in my body, which also shows I have the markers for FTD dementia, which actor Bruce Willis has. Now, actor Eric Dane, who announced his ALS diagnosis in April 2025, is the Advocate of the Year for the I Am ALS group, and sadly passed recently. Everyone living with ALS has a different path, something I must hold on to. Question from Anne. What brings you joy right now? From Tina. Honestly, spending quality time with my family is the most important. I also love watching the Minnesota Timberwolves with my husband and son, Eli. Music is my special love, going back to the tunes I adored when I was in my 20s, and it soothes me like nothing else. I have started a bucket list, which I'm checking off one by one. My trip to London with my hubby over New Year's was so amazing, a dream come true. I went to Colorado to see Stick Figure, the play, at the Red Rocks Amphitheater, which was amazing in every way. The American reggae band really seeped into my soul, and the love all around was exactly what I needed. One lyric, "Let the music soothe your soul," is exactly why I love them so. Walking up and down the trail and stairway at Red Rocks was challenging, however. What is even more fun about Stick Figure is Coco, a dog that strolls around the stage at the show. Sweetest thing ever. Yet, Coco has passed away. My final wish is to see and hug my favorite singer/songwriter, Bobby Long, with a show here in my home before I am completely disabled. All right, and my final question. Tina, how can the paralegal community show up for you? What kind of support or connection means the most? My GoFundMe project means so much to me to help with all the financial burdens of living with ALS. But having the recognition and love from the paralegal community would mean so much to me. Wow. All right. Well, I have to give this a proper closing before I start crying again. All right, guys. That is Tina Johnson. I don't know about you, but I'm going to need a moment after that because what Tina shared with us through her own words, written with her own hands, that's hard to do with the strength of her hands now. It's something I don't think I'll ever forget. Those words. Tina, I want to speak directly to you right now because I know you're going to hear this. I hope you're listening to this. Tina, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of every paralegal who has ever been inspired by you, mentored by you, or just led from afar, maybe just inspired from a LinkedIn post. For all of those people, I want to say thank you, Tina. Thank you for 2 decades of showing up for this profession with everything that you had. It just sounds like you loved the paralegal profession as much as I do. And I think that this paralegal profession is going to step up to support you. I also want to thank you for your leadership. Not a lot of paralegals take on the role of joining the association and actually being a part of it, leading it. I've also seen your LinkedIn posts trying to get people and supporting them for the NIFPA conference that's coming up. And most of all, thank you for being brave enough to share this journey. You didn't have to do it, but you did. Because even now, in the middle of the hardest chapter of your life, you're still thinking about what you can give to others. Thank you, Tina. So the Tina M. Johnson Legal Service Impact Award that bears your name, I think says everything. Your legacy is not something that's coming sometime in the future. It's already here, Tina. All right, to everyone listening, if this episode moved you, please do one thing today before you close the app out. Go to the show notes, click the link for Tina's GoFundMe page. The financial burden, I can't even imagine. Can you imagine the financial burden of dealing with ALS? Just please share it with your network, share it in your bar association groups, your paralegal associations, your Reddit threads. Let's make some noise for Tina. She spent 20 years amplifying our profession. I think it's time we amplify her. All right, everyone. I'll see you in the next episode. And if you didn't get the notice in the email or whatever, we are doing 1 episode a month now. This one came out the second Tuesday of the month. That's when we're going to try to have every episode come out the second Tuesday of the month. So stay tuned and join us back here the second Tuesday of next month. Bye for now.